Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brant County Council meeting of December the 19th, 2023. Attendance has been taken and we're all here. Second thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, noting that MPP Wilm Balma has come in and he wants to speak to us with an update from the province. So welcome, Mr. Balma. Milan. Here you go. We're just going to wait for the approval of the agenda, please.
Would you like me to move it, Mr. Kerr?
Yeah, noting the addendum.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Chambers. County of Brant Council agenda and addendum for December 19th, 2023 be approved, noting that Will Baumer, brackets MPP, brackets, will be added to the agenda to bring an update from the province.
Perfect, thank you. Are there any questions to the agenda? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? And carried. Number 3 on our agenda is the declaration of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, if you decide that one crops up, please let me be the first one to know, which takes us to MPP Wilm Balma with an update from the province.
First off, I love what you've done with it. But for the sake of the folks at home, I'll turn on the microphone. So, and thank you very much for the cookies, Councillor Bell. They were very good. It's great to be here. I just thought, and I apologize in advance for just imposing on you, but I suddenly had the brainwave the other day of, you know what, maybe I should just stop in and let everyone know. Don't let the city know because I haven't done the same thing at City Council and I don't want them to be jealous. But I just thought I'd quick run through some of the things that we've been up to so that everyone can be aware of the things that are happening in our community. And in no particular order, although somewhat by date, on April 12th, we announced an increase to homelessness prevention funding, which was a $202 million provincially, but $7 million that went through social services in the city of Brantford so that we could help keep people off the streets. On May 4th, Ontario welcomed a $1.58 million manufacturing investment by Mastro Vinci, which was supported by $237,000 from the province, and that was going to create 12 new jobs in the community. And on June 14th, and that was kind of interesting because my wife and I have hosted a couple of couples, mother-daughter and a young couple from Ukraine, and we realized when I was driving down to Simcoe that you can't register for a new health card in the city of Brantford or anywhere around here. You had to go to Hamilton or Simcoe. And so with quick work with the Ministry of Public and Business Service Delivery, we were able to open a satellite clinic in the city of Brantford so that people who haven't had a health card before can get one, which has actually helped out a lot of people in the community that we could have a full service satellite ministry office in the city of Brantford. On June 27th, we all gathered together for the announcement of $340,000 in Paris for 15 affordable housing units in the building that's going up. And I know Councillor House and I have fond memories of some of the conversations that we had there. And on June 29th, we announced a $39.9 million investment by New Mesh in Cairnsville, which was supported by almost $3 million through the Southwestern Ontario Development Fund. And applications are open for SWADF at this point. So if you have the chance and you know small businesses that are looking to expand, the Southwestern Ontario Development Fund has been very, very critical for that. On the same day, Mitsui High-Tech announced a $102 million investment, and through Invest Ontario, we put $3.1 million into that, which is going to be 104 highly skilled local jobs. Oh, and New Mesh was 56 jobs. On July 18th, big announcement, we announced a $28.38 million for the community at the emergency department redevelopment at the Brantford General Hospital. And that's very exciting to see that work done. We had a tour there recently, and I think you were there too, Your Worship. We got to put on our hard hats and have a look through there. But and what's amazing is the fact that that work will go on while the emergency department stays open. But as we all know, There's a lot of other issues at the hospital, and I might touch on that a little bit more, but it's really good to see the emergency department moving forward. On October 19th, we put $564,000 locally into Brantford, Brant, and Cambridge to help kids stay healthy and active. We made the announcement at the Boys and Girls Club in Brantford with Minister Lumsden, and it's very exciting to see those after-school programs continue and grow. And then on December 8th, I know that S.E. Johnson is not here, but there you have a company that's put, what is it, 43 million into the local economy in the last 110 years into many projects. And so with the threat of development going on there, that's been top of mind. And I was very pleased that that Minister Calandra heard me and that we've appointed now a facilitator in order to solve that issue, so that the 125 full-time jobs there and the 125 seasonal jobs can be protected there. And I'm optimistic that we can see a good resolution to that problem. And I think that S.E. Johnson is going to be making another investment in the community as a result once we realize that. And then on December 8th, I think we announced the completion of the high-speed internet to 1,639 families, farms, and businesses in the county of Brant, which is partnered through SWIFT. And I still so appreciate the county's involvement in the SWIFT program, because that's really good to see. And while I'm sure we still all hear from people regularly, as do I, about the people who aren't connected yet, that is a continued program that the province of Ontario was working on in order to get everyone connected and be able to move at the speed of business. And especially with so many more people working from home now, it's critical that we be able to provide those things. And then just finally, we announced on December 13th that we put $2.7 million into the community for next generation 911 service. And for anyone who's been on the fire department, and when you're running through the bush looking for a gunshot victim or a lost child, to be able to have the pinpoint accuracy that next generation 911 service will bring, so that eventually talking to Chief Darren Watson, we hope to be, that'll be a budget request at some point, to put some sort of tablet into our fire trucks so that we can have that GPS location instead of just pinging off a couple of cell phone towers and hoping for the best, and to bring our 911 service here locally into the 21st century. So that's that stuff. A couple of other things. Obviously, the official plan remains top of mind for me, and I'm pretty sure I'm not getting a Christmas card from the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing this year, because I bother him with that. But fortunately, we have another Associate Minister of Housing in Rob Flack, MPP Rob Flack, and I keep talking about those things, and I had a good conversation with him about that. We have a lot of other things in the hopper with the work being done on some of the other official plans and some of the MZOs, but he assures me that the County Brant official plan is at the top of that pile that they will get to when some of this other work is done. The hospital continues to have, and as I'm sure you well know, some major infrastructure issues, and we are working through those things with the tunnel that carried services to the D-Wing and some of the issues that they're having there. And I had a really good chat with the Minister of Health today about some of those issues, and I hope to be able to have some more good news shortly about how we can resolve some of those things. Because while we're hoping for a new hospital within the next decade, and I'm hoping 5 to 7 years, obviously we need to keep the current facility running, and there's a lot of patient visits that have to happen here, and so that continues to be top of mind also. Other than that, I was in getting my flu shot the other day with the community paramedics, and everyone who was here before will remember that we were prepared at that point to self-fund the community paramedicine program. And so one of the things that was top of mind for me when I got in 2018 was to see that fully funded across the province of Ontario. And having seen that happen, working very closely with one of the chief paramedics from Renfrew, we were able to see that move forward. And just so you can all give yourselves a pat on the back, every dollar that we put into community paramedicine saves us $2 at the emergency room. And that goes on every single day. That's not even the social benefits, the fact that patients at home stay connected. And that's one of those things that's very, very exciting. Now, other big pieces are the new high school that's coming to the north side of Brantford, and I'm sure students from here will be going there too. And I look forward to continuing an excellent working relationship with the Catholic Board. And I know we've had a chat about that, Your Worship. And I hope to be able to work on a positive relationship with the Grand Erie District School Board too, because I know the needs in a growing community are very, very high. Obviously, cost of construction has gone through the roof, but I look forward to seeing more projects coming forward here, and to get a good feel of exactly what those issues are. So if you have the opportunity to talk to your trustees, I know that I haven't had a real in-depth conversation with the Grand Erie District School Board in a couple of years. And so if you have a chance to say that I'm still out here waiting to see what their needs are and what your needs are here in the community, I would welcome those conversations whenever they're ready. But I just thought I'd leave you with that. And I don't know if the mayor would entertain any questions from anyone on the floor, but otherwise, I wish you all the very, very best over the holiday season. And again, I love what you've done with the place, and it's good to see such a well-connected community where everyone can participate and watch what's going on. And I am so proud to be able to represent such a wonderful group of people that is so generous. We were just doing food drive with the fire department at the St. George Fresh Mart the other day, and I was blown away by how everyone that came by either brought out a bag of food or was trying to stuff cash into our hands. And that's the community that we all serve. And I'm very proud to be a member of this community, and very proud to be able to serve this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Are there any comments or questions for Will? Councillor Chambers?
You're not in the riding, sir.
Just if I might, Mr. Mayor, through you to Will, I may be unique here in that Will actually isn't my member of provincial parliament. Jennifer is not as well. So I think I can ask this question. One thing you didn't comment on it, and that is on the horizon, which affects not only Brant County but yourself, is the electoral boundary proposed changes. I wonder if you just comment on that and whether you anticipate that happening next last. I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, I don't foresee any changes in the provincial boundaries the way that it is right now. I know if they do change, it'll be very odd because I believe I have a greater connection to the county and the city to be running in a community where I don't live. But by the same token, I think it would be very difficult for me to try to run for a nomination that would extend from the border here all the way down past Binbrook. And so I sure have some questions about what the federal boundaries are doing and the wisdom of that in cutting up our community that way. But then I also have to say that I still talk to constituents from the north side of Howell Road and north and out your way who are still not happy. Although I think a bunch of them did all get my Christmas cards this year, and I got some messages about that too. So I won't predict the future, what's happening with the boundaries, but I would like to see some changes. But I can say that I'm a huge fan of what's going on with the federal boundaries.
Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to our MPP Belma, appreciate you coming in. And if you know the answer to this question tonight, that's great. Otherwise, this is homework for you because I know Social Services has extended or will extend an invitation to you and our MP to come join us for a meeting in the near future. But it has to do with the development charges and affordable housing. The province, as you know, is taking them off, which I understand on one hand. On the other hand, we see the need for affordable houses. It's gone through the roof. And I'm just wondering, do you see any changes to that, or do you see the province making us whole at some point in the future? Like I say, if you know, the answer is great, but if you don't, we will be asking you to social service.
Well, I look forward to your staff's input on the new definitions and fleshing out of what that program looks like that Minister Calandra announced last week. That's a little bit above my pay grade on figuring that out. but I know that he was very convinced when he was speaking about those changes that he announced, I think, last Thursday, and I think that'll take some legislation there too. That will go a long ways towards making municipalities whole and answering a lot of those questions that you have. But exactly what the nuts and bolts of that look like, I don't have an answer for you yet on that one.
And thank you for the answer. Like I say, maybe, like I say, you will get an invite. Maybe we get a more fulsome discussion because I will point out. I mean, we have this 10-year plan. We're going to X number. This is how we're going to. And then halfway through it, you know, your legs are cut out because all of a sudden DCs are gone from affordable. So thank you for the answer. And again, I look forward to some discussion.
No, a lot depends on exactly what the definition of that affordable housing is, and obviously we want to see truly affordable housing covered and those rental units covered on that stuff too. But I know we've tweaked that program, and so I look forward to seeing exactly how that plays out and how the numbers pencil out locally.
Okay, with that being said, Merry Christmas to you and yours. Thank you for speaking to us tonight, and all the best to you and to Milan and all your help there at the office. You're always there when we need you, so thank you.
Always remember that without good staff, you're dead in the water. And I know enough of the people around the table here tonight that I am thankful for my own good staff, but for your good staff also on a regular basis. And again, I appreciate your indulgence. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Will. Which takes us to number 4 on the agenda, which is the delegations. We have 3 tonight. The first one is Norman Proctor and Scott. Want to come up to the podium? I'd like to remind you that you have 10 minutes to present to us, and then we open it up to questions. Good night. If you'd like to just state your name and your address, please.
Good evening, Council. My name is Scott Luke. I currently reside 6 Scotia Avenue in Brantford, here in Brantford, N3R, 5R1, if that is important. I am the Vice President of Warlords Minor Hockey. Directly behind me is Norm Proctor. To the left of me is Kenneth Leach and his son, Kenneth Leach Jr. We're here to request some help in obtaining more ice for our organization. I'm going to turn over to Norm to speak on behalf of us.
Already green. Okay, so I'm Norman Proctor. I'm the president of the Warlords Hockey. We are what some folks consider an outlaw hockey organization. We play in the Ontario Rep Hockey League, which is outside of Hockey Canada. We're in the AAU, so we're often looked at as an outlaw league. This year we have about 70 kids that play for us. And we kind of get whatever scraps are left for ice. So we run the Oxford Warlords, the Elgin Bombers, and the Brant Bandits. Brant hasn't really been able to have many teams in the last few years due to our ice allocations. A typical team needs 3 to 5 hours a week to run in our organization. We're a very heavy development-focused league of rep hockey players. We play mostly tournaments. But we do require a significant amount of ice for game times, etc. So right now, I believe we have 3 hours a week. That's in Paris. So that's what we've had for the last 5 years in Paris. It never seems to go up, despite there's significant amount of ice been available over the years that's gone to outside entities. So we've actually had to turn away 3 teams this year that were mostly Brant kids that ended up playing, I don't know, local league or somewhere else because we just weren't able to accommodate them because there just wasn't ice time. You can't tell a parent that their kid's coming on the ice at 9 o'clock at night on a Tuesday when they're 9 years old. That is the struggle that we have as an outlaw organization, as some people call us. I don't know. Hockey Canada tends to get all the good ice, and then we get whatever's left. So generally, they'll scoop up most of the ice. So Paris Minor Hockey will scoop up 500 hours of ice, and then they'll kick it back and burn it if they need to, because they have that funding. We don't have that funding. We're all privately funded. The parents pay their share. We don't have government money. We don't ask for money from the government. We are a privately funded organization. We do have sponsors. Obviously, we raise money, and the parents pay their dues. Outside of that, like we're not asking for any special treatment. We're just asking for fair process in the ice allocation process. So we asked for extra ice this year. We received none. Norfolk County received significant amount of ice time for practices for their teams. In my eyes, I don't think that's a benefit to those communities because you're not spending any money when you're practicing in those communities. So towns where these small rinks are, St. George and Burford, et cetera, they're not getting any extra revenue by those teams practicing in your facilities. There's no benefit to the taxpayers. These aren't residents of your community. These are people using your facility, which they're paying the same ice that we would. But if you watched our elite program that runs out of Burford this year, they bring in a significant draw. We actually are in association with the SHA Elite, which does play out of Burford this year. Kids watch that, they enjoy it, and it's part of the community. That's what we're looking to do. We're looking to grow our brand and become bigger in the communities that we operate in. On that, I'm going to let Kenneth speak. He is a lifelong resident of Burford and kind of knows that area. That's kind of where we're looking.
So I'm Ken Leach, 17 Maple Ave North, Burford, N0E1A0. So just a little bit about what brought us to the ORHL and the Warlords. My son, Kenneth, played rep hockey in Burford. I'm a Burford Coyote. He's a Burford Coyote. We've played in Burford our entire lives. We weren't able to field a rep team. Last year, actually, the U15 didn't field a team in Burford at all. We went to Norwich, where he successfully made the rep team, to which it was obvious shortly after they probably shouldn't have put a rep team in. We weren't competitive, and development time was almost zero. We found SHA actually first in a summer league tournament team, to which the development was just unreal. Constant, positive reinforcement, nothing but a good experience, which led us to the Warlords, which this season, my son has become one of the top point getters on the team. He is very excited all the time, loves playing hockey. And unfortunately, where we live and where we are, there is not a rep organization that we could get into. Hockey Canada's platform, whether it's right or wrong, decides very early in a child's development whether or not they're going to get the ice time. So this provides rep hockey for those kids, for development hockey to just get better. Like my son just wants to be the best hockey player that he can be, right? Where that leads in the end, nobody really knows, but this provides the opportunity for that. And they do. They get ice time all over the place, just scraps here and there. And they've run a successful organization with that. So if they could get some dedicated primetime ice out of the county, I believe they'd be unbelievably successful. The reason I think that Brant County is a good fit for them is because our minor hockey registration is at an all-time low. Burford Figure Skating Club, I believe they're only requiring 1 hour of ice time a week. The Burford Bulldogs, the junior team, no longer exists. There has to be room for another organization in this county. That's really all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for your presentation. Thanks for coming out and speaking to us tonight. Do we have any questions for the delegation? Councillor Pierce, you're first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. So as far as the rep teams are concerned, understanding is that Paris, Burford, and St. George have combined a lot of divisions to form a rep team. So I'm not sure what is he, U12, or I'm not sure what division he's in.
He's U15.
U15. So that what's that, Bantam?
Yeah.
Okay, so there was Bantam rep teams
In Burford?
Not necessarily in
St.
Burford,
George.
but I believe St. George, Paris, and Burford combined to do a couple of them.
So what they combined to do was an A center, which is one team.
Yep.
And that would leave no rep in Burford or St. George, only locally. They don't have the numbers. They barely got the numbers to get an A center. So there won't be any rep or development hockey below that, to my understanding.
Okay, so, and as far as just one other question, if I could, Mr. Mayor. So you've checked Paris, Burford, and St. George, and there's no ice time available?
Was that as
Yeah, sorry, as far as ice time goes, no, there is not available ice time that we can get consistently to field more teams for that. For our U15 program, yes, we've gotten one team allocated for within the county. That's it.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, for clarification, you said you had 3 hours a week in Paris?
Yes, and
What do
that's
you
for
have in-
one team.
And what do you have in Burford?
We have nothing in Burford right now.
The SHA Elite team.
Oh,
has-
sorry, yes.
They have 3 hours on Saturday night.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the delegation? Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple rambling questions here. Well, maybe not rambling. Three to the delegation. The kid, I'll call them kids because I think they're kids, but they're all under what, 17?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not looking at for 2 a.m. ice time. You're looking for.
No. Yeah, we would need something within reason. As Norm said, one of our teams we could have had this year was a U9 program, and we can't expect them to be out at 9 o'clock at night.
Okay, and I believe you said there were 70 kids signed up with.
We have 70 kids, correct.
Okay, and
Our peak, we've had 100, I believe.
okay, so let's just focus on this year. What would be an ideal amount of ice time if you could have your pick?
For each team, you need about 3 hours a week in general. So if we could have ran 5 teams this year. We would be you're 15 hours a week.
15 hours a week.
So three hours would be a little light. We generally do a 2-hour practice and a 1-hour development every week. That's our standard is 3 hours per week per rep team.
Yeah. No, thank you. Just trying to get my head around the numbers. Thank you.
Any other questions for the delegation? Seeing none, thank you for coming out and
Thank
speaking to
you.
us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
What are we going to do with this? Motion, Councillor Miller?
Well, I'll move to receive, Mr. Mayor, and I would ask that the matter be referred to staff so they can at least give us some context about the request here tonight.
Okay. Councillor Pierce? Yeah. Any other questions? All those in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You'll hear back from our staff. Thank you. Which takes us to 4.2 on the agenda, which is Andrea Bowden. I'll remind you again, please, you have 10 minutes to speak, and then we open it up for questions.
Hi there, everyone. Andrea Bowden, 28 Windgrove Woods in Brant County. I'm here today to speak to the restructure or rebuild and reopen of the Cleaver Road Bridge to vehicles. This structure is a single lane bridge. It has a single arch. It's quite quaint. And I've gotten a petition to speak on behalf of 124 of the 160 residents, and I'll call us the area of Highland Estates. So we do have an active petition right now, and we have an overwhelming support of 124 residents. You guys have actual reports from your, I guess, councils, committees. We're going to call this our community report number 2, because I've been here just a few months ago for number 1. I'm an advocate for safety in our neighborhood, and I've found that with the bridge closed, this route was an actual direct route to go to Colburn Street West by a majority of residents. Sorry, it just went back and then back forward again. Sorry. And we want it restructured and rebuilt and reopened as soon as possible to vehicle traffic. Again, I started a petition. I went door to door. And most people were in favor of this. Again, the 124 of 160 homeowners. The 160 comes from MPAC, so I counted the number of residents, some of them being vacant land and farmland, which I was not able to get to. Primary goal, again, is to have it reopened. First, obviously, to rebuild or restructure it. I would like the Brant County to look at it to assess this bridge project as a priority. I looked through some of the budgeting from the 5-year capital budget report, and there was a budget of $980,000 from 2022 and 2023 that was not used. There was already a budget of $845,000 for the Robinson Bridge. That I don't know what it was for, if this is planned reconstruction or if this is in concerns to the Cleaver Road Bridge that was closed. I'd like Brant County to actually repost a request for bid or tender, award the bid to replace or restructure and reopen the Cleaver Road Bridge for vehicles. We currently have a new bridge at Mill Street, so if you were to actually replace or replicate the bridge on Cleaver with the same plan, then no full design would be needed. This was replaced in 2017. Or to keep the rural charm of our single lane bridge and mitigate speeding and cost savings that way. These are Brant County's strategic plan priorities, and I believe number 2, number 4, reliable infrastructure, number 5, and number 6 apply. Impacts and mitigation, major social impacts. So what I did was I called all of our EMS, and with one simple question: if there was an emergency in our neighborhood, number 1, how would you get there? What route would you take? And number 2, do you have the closure on any of your updated maps? And actually 2 out of the 3 did not have the Cleaver Road notice. And the other part was that it would take 2 minutes longer to actually take the Robinson Road hill, but unfortunately that is not a preferred route to them. So you're looking at, they have different routes that they've said that they go. One would be Colburn West up to Mill Street. The other one would be Rest Acres Road, and they would actually go all the way to Bethel and then come back down Cleaver. So in life or death, I do believe that seconds matter, and this is a reduced direct access for all emergency units. Also, concerns are structural integrity. I'm trying to figure out how this was just realized in 2023 and that there was no public input or definitive answers from Brant County regarding the bridge closure. All of the residents have increased travel time and distance, which also a negative impact, especially during emergencies, which I've mentioned. It impacts each person as this increases cost for gas and wear and tear on all of our vehicles. Numerous safety concerns, and this is in regards to a lot of the Robinson Road hill reroute, if that's the way you guys are going. Regarding the highway access going down a windy, narrow road, how are we going to keep cyclists safe, pedestrians safe? Also, there was a report last month, I believe, by council that the snowplow, the winter maintenance, was now closed. So in turn, I'd like to know how the snowplow is going to actually turn around on the south side of Cleaver, as that is a mirror image of the north side of Cleaver. That's something to think about as well. Existing traffic routes are affected. So everyone is noticing more and more traffic along these other routes, obviously noise, vibration, speeding traffic on these other residential routes. Safety, again, red flag as of last week. Like I mentioned, 2 of 3 EMS services still do not have Cleaver Road closure or updated maps. And the 3rd emergency service actually had to check with Brant County, all their communication, and they wanted to know what they should say to me, what Brant County would tell them to say to me. So by this time, I think we're all dead. It's been over a week, so they don't actually know what route that they're going to actually travel to get to my house. But anyways, reduced opportunities for recreation, closed access to Apps Mill Conservation, all from Cleaver Road as well. We have a bunch of mitigation impacts. I'm going to actually propose a ride along to anyone on council that would like to go with me. I'll be your chauffeur and we'll go along some of these routes. Maybe we can time them if you'd like. You can see maybe some of the concerns firsthand. Also, some impacts and mitigation, environmental impacts, chemical, biological, environmental pollution. This closed road has become a dumping grounds for garbage as we go down the hill towards the bridge. And obviously this is all going to find its way into Whiteman Creek. Ecological, this is also for the new reroute. If you are going to do the Robinson Road route, may open or damage the natural springs that exist through Robinson Hill. Again, increased travel time and distance. Vehicle emissions, gas consumption. Ecological impacts, the new reroute infrastructure, again, Robinson Road Hill, will disrupt wildlife and animal habitats. Existing traffic routes are affected. We went through this as well. Environmental impacts, because of the reroute, again, more noise, increased travel distance, increased travel times. I would ask if maybe for somebody to investigate natural springs on Robinson Road Hill to preserve its water source and maybe ensure the water quality is not threatened. Economic impacts, they're all negative. Majority of residents will see a negative financial impact realized for fuel costs again and wear and tear on their vehicles as we have to drive further and longer to get around the Cleaver Road closure. And customers of businesses are also impacted. The timeline. So this bridge was built approximately 1917 or 1924. I can't find a definite answer. 2016, we received a notice from Brant County telling us that there were two bridges that needed repairing. One was Cleaver, one was Mill. There was going to be some rehabilitation and you would seek public input to see which one should be first. In 2017, there was a county decision without the public input or maybe just two people closest to the bridge, and Mill Street was decided as to be the first to be repaired as it was in worse disrepair than Cleaver Road. 2017.
Excuse me, you're past 10 minutes, so if you could wrap up now, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is Brant operations. This is the direct route to our home. Again, in green highlight is the alternate route, which takes probably about 5 to 6 minutes longer. The yellow route is the other route, which takes about 2 minutes longer. There are all kinds of stipulations by MTO and the Ontario government regarding detailed inspections, and I'm just trying to figure out what those detailed inspections showed. There should have been 4 reports at least from 2016 onwards, and at least 16 reports from 2016 to 2023. So I'm trying to, again, figure out how there were bids that were requested but never awarded. Summary, maybe Brant County could apply to the Ontario government for funding. We would like a repost of rehabilitation bid for a new bridge to be built. Take me up on the ride along if you like. Again, we have 124 of 160 homeowners. This kind of, I'm hoping, speed tracks your public forum that is supposed to be held in 2024 as the public, like I mentioned, I went door to door. This is the public's opinion, this is the community's opinion, and we are negatively affected by this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the delegation? I know that we have staff. Staff has seen your report, and we have staff on the line now to address some of your questions. Rob? Mr. Walton?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. There was a report to council in November of this year where we talked about the process which we would go through to evaluate the future of Cleaver Road Bridge. And as the delegation pointed out, we do plan to do that in 2024. There has been a lot of talk with the public about this Cleaver Road Bridge. It was identified in the Transportation Master Plan as one of the 13 bridges that we would consider. What the future of it was when it would come to the point where it was posted and not able to take vehicular traffic. Every 2 year OSIM reports have been done, and it was just in July of this year that we received the report which said that this bridge had to be posted at less than 10 tons. So immediate action was taken to do that, and I think we've got a good plan at looking at this in the future, and the public will be certainly engaged through that process. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Walton. Are there any other questions for the delegation? Councillor Miller, you're first.
Just a question of procedure process. So through you, Mr. Mayor and Andrew, thank you for coming in, and you did a lot of work on that presentation. So having said that, have our staff got a copy of that?
Absolutely.
Okay, because this
I've been in contact with them since the closure of July 17th.
Because that's part of the process to gather as much public input as we can. So, okay, thank you, Andrew.
Are there any other questions for the delegation? Seeing none, thank you. Thank you for coming. And what are we going to do? Are we going to, Councillor? We're going to just move to receive, and I'm seeking a seconder. Councillor Oakley. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Which takes us to 4.3. Duncan Ross, if you want to approach the podium and give us your full name and your address, please, just for the record. And again, you have 10 minutes, and then we'll go to questions.
Good evening, everyone. My name is J.S. John Scott Esposito. I'm a resident of 80 Willow Street, Unit 53 here in Paris, Ontario. Thanks very much for having us this evening. I'm going to pass it over to Duncan real quick.
Thank you. My name is Duncan Ross. I'm a resident of 19 Grove Crescent in Brantford, Ontario. I know that's not what you want to hear. JS, I was really happy that he's able to make it in. He's got dinner with his in-laws right now, so he might be living in my basement very soon. And we also have Mike Groupstra, which is the president of the Brant Cycling Club. But we know that you have a very full agenda, so we want to move through this quickly tonight. We're really just here to give you a quick update on our proposal back from the original presentation was in April 2021. So we were able to have a meeting with Mayor Bailey and Philip Meat last week, which we were really excited about. And we want to thank staff for all the work that they've put into this proposal up until this point in time. Philip has a fantastic roadmap for us that we're going to be able to work, and we're really excited to kind of move this forward a little bit further. We know that this project is going to take a lot of trust. It's an innovative project between the county and some community groups. And so it was really important for us to come here and talk to you, let you know about some of the work that we've been doing since we've last been here to address the concerns that were brought up. At the end of the day, as you can see up on the screen there, the subject area, this is a proposal to use an underutilized piece of land and create a really special public infrastructure, recreational uses. So we're really excited to bring that. It's going to benefit the whole community, and I really want to make sure that I know you've got a lot of tough decisions to talk about later on, but one of the big things is that we're not asking for any money from the county for this project. That's always, I think, something I see a couple smiles, which is always good. I know there's lots of hard conversations. Having said that, I know that, and staff has put a lot of work into this project already, so I know that there's a lot of resources that are going into it. And I really think that part of the issue that we're looking at right now is just determining what that relationship is going to look like and how, as a community group, we can work very closely with Phil and his team and make this come to fruition. So just a little bit about more about myself to give you an idea here. So I'm a past president with the Brant Cycling Club, past president with the Brant Waterways Foundation. I am on the board with Community Living Brant. I've been involved with the Chamber of Commerce for a number of years and a number of other committees in the area. Professionally, I'm a partner at BFL Canada, and I specialize in insurance and risk management for municipalities, nonprofit association, and sports organizations across the country. My passion is building community through outdoor recreation, and that's really where myself and my colleagues here in the Brant Cycling organization is coming from, to try to deliver something that's innovative to the community and not ask for a lot of dollars. So as I said, we're going to move through this pretty quickly. We have here the agenda. So our previous delegation, we don't really want to go over the same things that we've already talked about. It's on YouTube, and for anybody that hasn't seen it, please check it out because there's a lot of good information there. But very quickly, we're going to go through a little bit more about who is the Brant Cycling Club, what it is that we're proposing, where we are proposing it, why this is important, and then really the key part of this presentation is to bring you up to speed on what we've been doing in the meantime, taking into consideration your feedback and when and how we can move this forward. So who is the Brant Cycling Club? This is actually, we're just heading into our 10-year anniversary. We're 200 members, volunteers, supporters strong. We host weekly group rides with trained ride leaders. One of the projects that was really near and dear to my heart, you see here, is the Brantford Rotary Bike Park that we built. We started that in 2017. It's a $500,000 bike park that we built and passed that on to the city. And I think it was an amazing project where we were able to work with that relationship, build that relationship with the city to say, hey, we would love to see this in our community. We will do the fundraising. We will build it. And then we pass it over to them. And I think when you go down there and see that, little boys, little girls using it, families using it, it's been a huge success. We host a youth mountain bike program. So in the summer, very affordable program for kids that's really focused on the importance of bike safety, trail etiquette, and active lifestyles. I'll pass it over to JS.
Specifically, what we're looking to propose here is we're requesting a single track trail network, nature park, that will be available to be used by a wide variety of user groups. There are a variety of different networks surrounding us that we can pull or emulate from that have provided some example for us. Again, clearly we're not asking for money, but we're simply asking for access to the public lands to provide the infrastructure for the betterment of our community. This one here. Where are we proposing to this? So you can see by the map on the screen there, the red line kind of highlights the area in question. It's pretty much bordered to the north by the rail line, to the south mostly by the Nith River, and also to the east and west by the Nith River as well. Why is this important to our community? I think the easiest way to discuss this is by looking at the green box where we see the common goals and the objectives. Those have been pulled right from past county plan policies from the county of Brant, specifically ones that encourage the development and enhancement of pedestrian and shared use of non-motorized trails and bicycle routes, and where the county is encouraging public consultation and community partnership for the acquisition, improvement, and maintenance of the trail systems. In summary, the protection, expansion, and the maintenance of the trail network within the natural heritage system is our identified priority.
So some of the things that we've been up to, of course, we've been working on this project, but we're still doing all the things that we've done for this community all along. JS and the Brant Death Racers, which we'll talk more about in a sec, they've been hosting youth running groups, as well as the Little Bones Triathlon, which is an amazing event for kids. They're about 4 to 12 over at Brant Park, where they can try out a triathlon in our community and get experience with an active lifestyle. Of course, we've been doing the youth mountain bike program that we've been talking about. But we've also, with our volunteers, with our board members, with our members, doing governance training as well as trail building. So we actually went out and helped with the Grand Valley Trail Association and the hiking group to clean up some of their trails and how to professionally build sustainable trails. And then what we really would love to share with you today is some of the community engagement and consultation that we have undertaken, which we feel was a big part of what the feedback was from our last presentation from council. So when we came here, if you recall last time, one of the big things was to say, okay, it's a good idea. I think everybody was generally supportive of it, but we need to make sure that we're bringing in other folks from the community, and there was a really big push for community consultation. So through the Brant Waterways, we actually founded what's called a Regional Trails Council, and you'll see the various groups here. cycling clubs, the Waterways Foundation, Brant Tree Coalition, the Death Racers Running Group, the Grand Valley Trail Hiking Group, the Brant Peddlers and Paddlers, Grand Valley Trail Network, and Brant for Nature, which is a new naturalist group. We've been having meetings with all of these individuals to try to say, hey, what's important to your group and how can we all work together? And so we've been regularly meeting with these groups, touching base with them. One of the great things I think with this from staff's perspective is if we're able to really get some traction with this Regional Trails Council model, now you can deal with one group versus having conversations with 6 or 7 or 8, which I'm only imagining can be a little bit tiresome sometimes or challenging. So we've undertaken this, we've really led the leadership on that side of things, and also through a number of different events, activities, been working with regional, provincial, and national groups like the Trail Research Hub, Forest Ontario, Birds Canada, Ducks Unlimited, and on and on you see there. One of the really neat ones was I met a gentleman at the Forest Ontario conference from the U of T Forestry. He's he's a professor, PhD professor at the U of T in forestry, and he's from Paris, and he's very familiar. And when I was talking with him, the interesting comment was, he said, Duncan, I was just there, this was a while back, visiting my parents at Christmas time, and I was walking through there, and I thought, man, this would be a perfect place for a reforestation program. And he's on board, would love to help out. All of these groups that we've met with, they have money that they want to spend. Ducks Unlimited would love to be able to do a wetland project within this property. And so we're really trying to bring all of these ideas together in addition to, of course, the trails that we're talking about. And this really kind of meshes quite well of having green space, outdoor recreational trails, as well as some environmental sustainable projects. So very, very quickly, the key takeaway here is we are proposing a grassroots community-led initiative. I think that's really important. We would love to see our community be able to, be the boots on the ground to have a part with this. And I think Phil and I and Mayor Bailey had a really good conversation just around what that might look like. We understand that it takes time. And I just really want to, again, from the bottom of my heart, say thank you for the time and effort. I know that staff is very busy. I saw the long list of projects that they have on their plate. And so however we can work with you, we would love to do that. The timelines, one of the things is that we talked with Phil about this, what we could do, as far as environmental inventories of the property go. It's really key to be able to get in there by spring. If we miss spring again, then that's going to be another year to see the birds coming in and things of that nature. So, we would love to be able to get in there and do some of that citizen-led science to look at the ecological side of things, but understanding that there is a process to follow with all of that. So we'll leave it at that for this evening. Again, we'd love it if you checked out Refreshed. I think there was a lot of very good conversation at the last council meeting. Just want to say thank you to Alicia and the clerk's department, as well as Kathy Ballantyne and Megan Hunter as well. They've been fantastic to deal with. So thank you.
Thanks, Duncan. Are there any questions for the delegation? Councillor Chambers, you're first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the delegation. You may be familiar with, there's an organization that, along similar as yourselves, that utilize Long Point Conservation Authority lands south of us here. And they have been actively working with the Conservation Authority to do a similar type of thing. One of the issues that they ran into was the lands and the organizations, outside groups coming in and using the facilities and not using it according to the way they should be using it. So I'm just wondering how you see policing, it might not be the regulating that kind of thing of your trail networks and stuff like that. Do you see a group helping with that? Do you see the municipality doing that? Maybe you can comment on that.
Yes, thank you for the question through you, Mr. Mayor. One of the things, we talked a little bit about this last time, that we know that there's some activity down there right now that maybe doesn't correlate with the priorities of the county. As far as recreational use, ATV is causing a lot of environmental damage. It's very hard to police, there's no question about that. One of our points was, and we've seen it in other areas, when you designate that as a area for, call it non-motorized recreation, and we are able to start getting in there and using it, all of a sudden those undesirable uses just simply go somewhere else because there's more, positive things that are happening. But we have been in touch with the folks down in Turkey Point. Pretty much every group in Ontario we've had conversations with to learn what their experiences are, how they work. Copeland Forest up near Barrie is an amazing model that we've looked at, and you'll notice in the title of our presentation, when we first presented it was single track trail network, and now it's single track in nature park, and that's a really important thing, is to bring this together. It was always our intent to have these other groups be included in it that are compatible. Unfortunately, you just can't have dirt bikes with hikers. We feel that we can all work together as non-motorized recreational uses. Is there going to be some challenges along the way? I'm sure that things could come up, but the biggest thing is that, and this is really important to us, is building those relationships and that trust. Doing what we say we're going to do, having these conversations, and then I think it'll be a positive thing moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pierce, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I'm going to start off with the same way I started off last time you were here. You've obviously done your homework, so I want to say thank you for that. You're not coming in here ill prepared. You've done this before in other places, and I appreciate that. Couple questions I do have. I just want to confirm, because you had stated that you're not asking the municipality for money, and then there was a comment stated that you're not asking for a lot of money. So I'm curious there. That's my first question.
I apologize if I misspoke there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I said a lot of money or no money, but we're looking for no money.
I remember that from last time, so I thought things might have changed there, so that's fine. So you spoke about, one in Brantford, how you did all the fundraising for that, and it was $500,000. If we were to, hypothetically here, the green light's going, you guys are in there, you did your ecological test, and everything's all good. How much money and time do you think it would take in order to get that track so you could have people walking and hiking on, biking on?
Thank you for the question. To you, Mr. Mayor. I think within a year, it could be at a place where you can have people in. And when I say that, I mean, it really depends on the scope of what you're looking to do. And we really do see this as a phased approach. You have to have the infrastructure there, something that Kathy and I have talked about quite a bit. I think that we've got kind of designs laid out for the parking lot, entrance trails, and then things of that nature. The ecological assessment might take a little longer, but there's areas that we know that you could be able to build a trail where people could go walk, 5-kilometer loop, something of that nature, and slowly introduce it. We're not looking at, going guns a-blazing and bringing heavy equipment in there right away. We really want to respect the property, learn about the ecology of it, understand what the community wants to do. But I think we can do that in a way that phases it in so that we can get people in there very quickly. But again, that, we have to have that relationship with staff, obviously, and respect that. So appreciate that much.
No, I understand that. So are you thinking $500,000? Are you thinking $1 million? What do you think this would cost? If you were to have to ballpark.
To ballpark it, to get it going, if we were doing the parking lot and some of the trails to get in there, I would say somewhere in the range of 500,000. Get it going.
A couple more, if I could, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. That being said, once we're there and it's all built and it's all like we wanted, everything's going good, it's being used a lot. Maintenance. Is that a monthly thing? Is that a 6-month thing? A yearly thing? And what would that cost, do you think?
Go ahead.
Sure. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Typically speaking, in the networks that we've used and that we frequent, the membership or the people who are part of the trail network system, they take great ownership and responsibility for maintaining the trail themselves. It's certainly a 3-season sort of approach. During winter, obviously, not a ton of maintenance can actually happen, but there's some routing and some things, flagging you can do in the winter months. But typically speaking, and Duncan will want to add to this, the membership takes great pride in maintaining and taking care of the trails because they want to be a part of it, and it's actually a fun process as well. So yeah, kind of a 3-season approach that the membership group likes to take part of.
And I'd just add, I think that this is a model. I'm doing a lot of work with groups across Ontario professionally to develop that from a risk management standpoint so that you can defend depending on what the relationship is. But this is a big thing, is being able to substantiate what kind of maintenance that you're doing so that it's safe for everybody. And there's definitely, course, municipalities only have so much money to spend on a budget for maintenance, and that's where we can come in as a professional organization to come and do a lot of that. So, yeah, the maintenance side of it is definitely something that volunteers across the province are doing right now and doing it very well.
Thank you for that. And last one, Mr. Mayor, you segued right into it. You talked about risk management of something like this. You've got, non-motorized bicycles, you got pedestrians, you got walkers, you got that type of thing. And I think you said you're in insurance through your day job, insurance and liability. I can see some liabilities happening here. So how does that work on these other trails around the province and stuff that you've gone to? Who holds that insurance?
So there's many different models on who's covering the insurance. The user groups can take out insurance policies. The municipalities can include that as part of their program. So there's a lot of different ways that you can look at it. One of the things that I would say is, right now there is a liability there certainly with uses that are happening. I think honestly, you're going to have less of a liability exposure when you're able to have a formal network that is signed as a recreational. Your standard of care is lowered when it is signed as a recreational trail network, and all the other things like the maintenance records and everything else. It's built to a professional standard to begin with. Your liability exposure really would be less at that point in time.
Okay, thank you for the answers.
Thank you.
Councillor, how is your next?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to our delegation. Thanks for coming in and for the information. As you know, I share your passion for this project. The last slide in your presentation, you mentioned that your ask is for a meeting with staff. And I'm happy to hear it sounds like that meeting just happened within the last 3 business days. So that's encouraging. During your presentation, you mentioned fundraising a couple of times. And I wanted to touch on that a little bit because since you were last speaking to council, and it was a Zoom meeting last time, we're in the middle of the pandemic, I believe. I've been contacted by a constituent who was referencing fundraising for this project, and he said that his employer had contributed funds towards the project and was asking me for an update on the progress of the project. I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit more on fundraising efforts specific to this project that have been undertaken so far, either through the Cycling Club or through the Brant Waterways Foundation.
Yeah, thank you for that, to you, Mr. Mayor. So that particular situation, I think it evolved out of, we've been talking about this, and I've been working with Kathy Ballantyne through the Cycling Club since the Cycling Club was founded 10 years ago plus. And originally we were hoping to utilize Barker's Bush for that space to have mountain bike trails. And it was through consultation with community members that they kind of said, hey, probably not the best idea for Barker's Bush. And we took that information to heart and we went looking for another place that we could do that. So the Barker's Bush sort of trail network is somewhat intertwined, I would say, with the idea. It was kind of the origins of the concept, and then it evolved into the north of the NIF. I think that there was a little bit of confusion potentially with, where that funding was going to, but I know that there's a number of individuals that are very, very excited about this. I've had conversations with obviously lots of people. I'm very passionate about it, and there's a lot of support for this, and I believe that we can be very, very successful in fundraising to be able to fund that. So I will say it's been a challenge sort of balancing the needs of the community with the needs of council and staff, because people want to get going on this, and people are asking me all the time, like, hey, what's happening with this? Can we get this going? And I kind of have to say, hey, we have to work with everybody, and we're going through a process. So, and when we were here, council, I think one of the comments was, that they were hoping that we wouldn't wait for an agreement to continue fundraising. So we had that message coming from council, and then I was kind of asked to hold off on any further conversations because it was starting to, people were asking questions about it, right? So I can say quite honestly that it's been a bit of a challenge for me. I hope that this comes across that we're very sincere in our want to work and develop this relationship and do it in a really respectable way. But we are balancing a lot of different priorities and wants and needs. And so I think maybe that's possibly that situation where it came out of. We did raise funds, as you're aware, through the Brant Waterways Foundation, which I'm a past president, and I was the chair of the campaign that was referenced there. And so when I'm out there talking with people, I'm mentioning a lot of the projects, the vision that we see for our community, and a lot of people are getting excited about that. And I think that's where that has gone. However, having said that, after the conversation about some of that confusion, we have stopped any type of conversations around bringing in funds for this. We would really like to get going with that, but we are holding off, trying to be respectful, as I said.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for the clarification.
Thank you.
Councillor Bell, you're next.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to presenters. I'm looking at the map where it says where are we proposing it? And there's blues and greens and oranges. Are you suggesting that you will oversee that whole set of lands, those three different ownerships of land?
Thanks for the question. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Again, just to sort of reiterate what Duncan has been mentioning, we're really looking to build the relationship with staff to move forward in a manner that works with the different user groups that we've been building relationships with. And through the relationship we hope to develop with staff to sort of figure out what works best in this area to accommodate all those different user groups. The map simply shows the area that we're interested in with some borders defined and some different ownership areas. But we do not have, we're not moving forward with any suggestion of taking ownership of the area. Hopefully that answers your question, Duncan.
Yeah, I'll just add a little bit to that, and I would say that one of the reasons, so specifically, this is the area in general bordered by the Nith River. The reason why this area works so well is because, as you can see, it's predominantly in public ownership. With trail models, if you're going into private lands and you have to get an agreement for every piece of property, it becomes very, very challenging. The GRCA, from my understanding, has said, yes, we're open to having our land be used for recreational purposes. So generally, yes, this would be kind of the area. It's sort of, I guess it's outlined there pretty good. Bounded by the Nith River, there is a creek to the west side that's included with the County of Brant land, and then we would have to determine what the private landowners, which have had some conversations with them to see if they might be interested. The one thing that I would add to that is, of course, in the Boralex project, which I was at the community meeting, and I think that's a great proposal and it's exciting for the community. Clearly, we would have to fence off the municipal infrastructure there, the dump facility and whatnot, and we have that was in our proposal as well, a suggested area to fence off the municipal infrastructure portion, so that, again, from a risk management, my insurance geek hat, we want to make sure that people aren't getting into that area and causing problems. So I think we have a very comprehensive plan as to how we can execute this once we get to that stage.
Yeah, thank you. If I may, Mr. Mayor, I'm particularly interested in the Boralex part and the old landfill site. There is an initial plan for that area, but it may be the beginning of something bigger. So there's going to be potential conflict in terms of how that land is used between, if you like, commercial uses through BME, through the county, and recreational. I've got another concern, and it's sort of founded in the fact that we as the county actually own very little land. And if I want to bring in the subject of affordable housing, what prevents us from moving ahead in many cases is the fact we don't have any land. So I think when it comes to how we use this land, I think the county has got to be in the driving seat all the time here. And yes, it's great that you're offering to help, but I think the leadership ultimately and the direction has to come from the county. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few questions, and I'll build on what was already asked, because they already asked a few of the ones I had. So the red line, that's just the outline. I thought that was the actual path. If you're building a cycling trail, what would be a nice distance to have? Like, obviously, 500 meters isn't enough, and 50 kilometers is too much. What would be a nice distance?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would say that a 30 to 50 kilometer trail network would be great. That would be something that people will come to and utilize. One of the things that we're building off of here is through the work that the Waterways has done, recognizing that there's currently 0 sanctioned mountain bike trails in Brantford and Brant County. So therefore, the whole idea being is that we build something here that mountain bikes will go to, and that way they're not riding in Barker's Bush or on the Grand Valley hiking trail. And I think that that 30-kilometer number would suit that.
Sorry, so do you think you can get 30 kilometers worth of trail there?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, but there'll be shortcuts, say, when you first start, because Councillor Coleman and I, when we go biking there, we're going to get winded pretty quick, so we'll want to take a shortcut. You mentioned GRCA. I've not seen anything come across GRCA. So you don't have an agreement with them yet.
No. So our understanding, and I've been reviewing a lot of GRCA agreements with previously user groups, but the way that the GRCA is going now is that they don't really want, my understanding is that they don't necessarily want to deal with user groups in every single municipality. They will deal with the municipality, and the municipality can determine which sub-licenses that they want to do with those land, which are very common. I would say that they are, in most major areas where a conservation authority has property, they are licensing that to the municipality for recreational use, and the municipality is then sub-licensing that to the user groups.
Okay. And I'll just say real quick, I share Councillor Howe's passion for this. I think it's a great project. Things like this, we talk about, as Councillor Bell said, housing, affordable housing, and housing's great, but unless they got something to do, somewhere to burn some energy, it's just housing, and that's all it is. It's not quality of life. So I see projects like this really enhance quality of life. So I'm a big supporter of it. I hope it goes ahead. I appreciate the work you guys do. Can you always amaze me the amount of energy you have?
Thanks, Councillor Miller. Councillor Oakley.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the delegation. You mentioned 30 to 50 kilometers being the ideal sort of distance or amount of trail available. Approximately how much of this highlighted subject area would that take up if you got your full 50 kilometers? Would that be all of this Greenland? Would it be half of it, 25% of it? How much of this land is needed to hit that 50-kilometer goal?
Yeah. Thank you for the question through you, Mr. Mayor. It's really difficult to say at this point in time. I think one of the things, again, I keep repeating myself, but respect is really important for us. And we need to understand the ecological sensitivities that are in there. So to say, this area or that, we really haven't gotten to that point yet. We've been kind of, waiting for staff and some other experts to come in and have a look at the property.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Looking for a motion? Councillor Miller?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move to receive and refer to staff because I think staff are already working. So,
Seeking a seconder, and Councillor Pierce, we have it. Any other questions for the delegation? Seeing none, thank you for coming tonight. And I call the vote. All those in favor to receive, thank you.
Thank you.
That takes us to number 5 on the agenda, the adoption of the minutes from the previous meeting. I believe it's Councillor Kyle.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, through you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Miller that the County of Brant Special Council minutes of November 28th, Council minutes of November 28th, and the Special Council minutes of November 30th, 2023 be approved.
Are there any questions to any of the sets of minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor to receive them? Opposed? Carried. Takes us to number 6, the business arising from those minutes. Is there anything? Seeing none, we'll move on to 7.1, which is consent items, and we don't have any. This takes us to 7.2, which is consent items to be received, noting that there's 10 of them. Does anyone want any of them separated? Councillor Miller.
Number 9.
Number 9. Anyone else want anything separated? Councillor Bell?
Number 7.
Number 7. Any others? Okay, so we will vote to receive everything but 7 and 9. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, Councillor Coleman, you're going to move it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor McAlpine, that items 7.21 to 7.210 be received as information.
Separating 7 and 9. All those in favor?
Mr. Mayor, sorry, I made a mistake. 725.
Oh, I'm sorry. So we're going to take back the 7, put it in the ones that are approved. We just called the vote. All those in favor? Now we're going to talk about number 5 then, Councillor Bell.
That is going to cost significantly more. In total, probably near $100 million more, of which our share as the county, as you've seen from other documentation, will be perhaps in the order of $25 to $30 million. It's a very significant issue that we need to have in mind. The other comment I'd like to make is that of the remaining 300 that are to be municipally funded, there's an assumption that 3 times 50 dwellings, 150, half of them, will be on county land. I just don't know where that county land is to build 3 times 50 units of affordable housing. So I think there's a real issue there that we need to have a substantial conversation about when it comes to budgeting. And I think when we come to the long-term financial plan conversation later in the week, this should be really an important part of that conversation.
Alison, do you want to speak to that?
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. Just to address that, as Council knows, we do have an application in for a co-op housing project at Russell Heights Phase 2. That would count towards that contribution and would bring us more than halfway to that contribution if we were successful in that grant bid.
Councillor Bell?
So you're talking about Russell Heights 2, is that correct? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions to number 5, Councillor Miller?
Just to build a little bit on what Councillor Bell was saying. I know we had a pretty robust, I thought, discussion at Social Services last meeting because we were moving a motion and we didn't want to commit without going through the budget process millions and millions of dollars. So we are working on that. Again, alluding to my question to MPP Belmont, we are also working on maybe because they did take the affordable housing off DCs. There was the I think intent maybe to make us whole. The province had said that, so I guess we're working on that. So lots more to come on the financial part.
Any other questions for number 5? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And takes us to number 9, please.
That was me. It just says in the agenda it says minutes September, but when you look at it, it says October. So I think that's just a print. And then a question on those minutes. There's going to be, according to Heather, some money left over in the budget. They said around 193,000. My question is, what has the board decided to do with that year-end surplus?
Who wants to speak to that? I don't know that there's anyone. Heather Boyd?
I know the board is expecting to have a surplus this year. As per their past few surpluses, it'll probably be going towards the funding of the new main library branch.
Councillor Miller?
So following up then, so if they've been doing that, then they have a reserve built up? Or?
Yeah, I think including this, the amount we're expecting from 2023, there will be approximately 400,000 towards that project.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions about the library board report? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Which takes us to number 8 on the agenda, which is the committee reports. 8. One is the ad hoc grants, which is Councillor Oakley.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Garneau that the Ad Hoc Grants Committee report of December 4th, 2023 be approved.
Are there any questions to Councillor Oakley on his report? Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Councillor Oakley, I guess. I think we've set aside 0.5% of our budget as a fund that we will then have the Brant Foundation look after. How do we arrive at that 0.5%?
I believe, and staff can correct me through you, Mr. Mayor, that is our current policy and procedure. So it is a carryover from previous years.
Do you need staff to speak to that too? Are you okay with that?
No, I think I'm okay with it.
Any other questions? Councillor Oakley? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. It takes us to 8.2. Councillor Pierce's report, please, on administration operations. It's a very long report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Howes, that the Administration and Operations Committee report of December 5th, 2023 be approved, noting that there are 10 recommendations that was respectfully submitted by Councillor Pierce, spelled P-I-E, but of course we're going to get that fixed up, correct?
We certainly are. I don't, who would have the nerve to do that, Councillor Pierce? Doesn't sound like something I would do. No.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Any questions to Councillor Pierce on his report? Seeing none, all those in favor to receive? Thank you. Opposed? Carried. Which takes us to 8.3, which is Planning and Development Committee, which is Councillor McAlpine. Are there any? Oh, we'll put it on the floor first.
Yeah. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Howes, that the Planning and Development Committee report of December 12th, 2023 be approved.
Thank you. Are there any questions to Councillor McAlpine on his report? Seeing none, all those in favor to receive? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Takes us to number 9 on the agenda, which is staff reports. We haven't any. 10, communications. We haven't any. Resolutions or motions of motion. We have none, Councillor Oakley. Wow, good for you. Good for you. Other business. We have other business. We have Allison has something to add.
Thank you, Your Worship. If Council will indulge me, that I know this wasn't on the agenda, but I would be remiss if I didn't recognize that this is going to be Jody Zudima's last meeting, council meeting with the county. As you know, she is going to be leaving us in January. I want to recognize the huge amount of work that she's taken on, the accomplishments with the county, and as you know, the complexity and volume of that work has increased exponentially over several years. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again tonight. I can't imagine anybody fighting harder and better for the county than Jody has. So I do want to recognize that and thank you. Send my thanks to her for all the hard work and dedication she's shown, and she will be missed, I know, by the county. And again, I just wanted to acknowledge that tonight as it is her last meeting with us.
And on behalf of myself and council, thank you for all the work you've done for us. I know it's been hard. We've had changes, different staff members leave you, and the workload was tremendous. So thank you for staying with us and getting it all done, and we wish you well. Okay, thank you very much. Which takes us to in camera, and Councillor Miller, you're going to take us there.
I move by myself and second by Councillor Kyle that County Brant Council convene in camera to discuss litigation or potential litigation. It's OLT Appeal 184 Pinehurst Road and semi-annual litigation chart. Proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land laying between Spruce Street and Bridges Street, and the position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to negotiations. That Joint Services Committee.
All those in favor? And we'll go in camera and we'll take a 5-minute Okay, we're back in open session. Councillor Kyle, you have ratification.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, through you, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McAlpine, that staff be directed to finalize the disposition of land described as a lane between Spruce Street, also known as Cedar Street, and Bridges Street, Plan 492 in Paris.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and carried. Takes us to 14, which is the bylaws. And Councillor Chambers, you have them.
Yeah, just before I do the bylaws, Mr. Mayor, could I just make a request?
Absolutely.
And that's with regard, and I wanted to get this in with when the delegation was on, but I couldn't get recognized. But with regard to the Cleaver Bridge, there's a lot of misinformation out there swirling around, and conspiracy theories that we deliberately did. What we need to do, and I'm hoping that the CEO can connect with communications and public works and put something out there that people know what's going on, because we didn't deliberately close the bridge because we want to close it, those kind of things. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. So if we could communications maybe in light of the delegation, which had some errors in it, but it was very good work, clear up some of the misconceptions in the Highland Estate area. Yeah. So having said that, it's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Pierce, EI, that the bylaws be read a first time.
All those in favor of the first reading of the bylaws? Opposed? Carried. Second reading, please, Councillor Chambers.
And it's moved by myself and Councillor Pierce that they be read a second time with all clauses and preambles being adopted.
Are there any questions of the bylaws for the second reading? Seeing none, all those in favor? If you could finish this off with the third reading, please, Councillor Chambers.
And it's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Pierce that the bylaws as the agenda be read a third time, be passed, signed, sealed, and placed in the bylaw book.
All those in favor of the third reading of the bylaws? Opposed and carried. Which takes us to the adjournment. Is there anything else for the betterment of the County of Brant? Councillor Chambers?
Just to let members of the committee know, I'm going to be late for the next council meeting with regard to the long-term planning thing. I'm not sure when I can get here, but I'm hoping that I can get here as soon as I can.
Did you want to leave me your proxy?
I will leave that with you and Councillor Coleman.
Thank you very much. Any other comments for the betterment of the County of Brant? Allison?
Just a quick reminder that we are going to be bringing in lunch on Thursday for everyone. So hope everyone can be here and stay.
I was going to get half your sandwich. Anything else for the betterment of the County of Brant? Seeing none, all those in favor, we stand adjourned. Thank you, and it'll be called.